this training is going to be about stacked and cross-listed courses and maintaining them. The maintenance part is something that is going to be for the departments, and you all have access to do this. So for today's training purposes, and I'm going to put us in SOSECT. So for today's training, we're going to be in band pre-prod. So this isn't the production that you all are used to, that majority of the time you should see this being blue instead of green, okay? When it comes to the cross listings and stacked sections of courses, what we've done is we have gone through for both fall and spring, and we identified cross-listed and stacked courses based off of the following criteria. Number one, if it's cross-listed, then it's officially designated as such in the catalog. At the same time, essentially, for cross-listed courses, those are in the catalog. I'm going to pull up the catalog for you, and those are really courses that have the same course number, but a different prefix. Most common with those are really going to be in Chaz, okay? But just as an example, popular ones tend to be sociology and criminology. From our catalog, here's an example of a cross-listed course and officially designated in the catalog. So Social 105, Anth 105, Psych 105, Women's Studies 105. They are the same course, but they have a different prefix, but the number is the same, okay? Now, there's another part to this as well, and that is stacked courses. So stacked, they're not identified by course the way that they are in the catalog, but stacked courses were ones that departments informed us of in an earlier process this year, where ideally, really, they're an undergraduate course and a graduate course taken at the same time. So in this case, it would really be the same prefix, but a different course number. So like, just throwing this out there, total random example, Anth 405, Anth 505. Those courses don't exist in this example, but that would be what it would look like visually as a stacked course. Now, both of them, both stacked and cross-listed courses, have the same criterion, and this has typically been the same for quite some time, really, even with AIS. And that is these courses are taken at the same time, same place, same instructor, because these courses are really taught all together. So that being said, and especially for reporting purposes, it was our task to identify them for fall and spring. And that is what we've done. So good news, we've identified them with the sections that we're aware of. So you all don't have to worry about that. Now, maintaining them is, again, going to be under your purview. And it's pretty simple. As you can see, I'm in pre-prod, and I pulled up SOSECT, and the example CRN that I'm going to use is Chem 431. As you now go into SOSECT in Banner for sections, I would highly suggest that you visually check to see if there's a code here, okay? So this is the cross list area. This code or identifier should visually tell you, wait a minute, there's another section that's attached to this section here. Because cross listings and stacked courses are essentially pairs of courses, right? But this lets you know, hey, there's a code in here for this particular course that's connected to another section for this term. Okay, it's always this term and semester that's the same. Again, I highly suggest moving forward, if you're ever going into a section, just check visually if you see a code here. Let's say you hear, hey, they need to change this section's maximum enrollment amount, and they want to update the time as well. Well, no problem. You all have the tools and training to do that, so let's go ahead and do that. So back into this section, let's say that they are changing the maximum from 15 to 10, and we'll save that. And then, again, they want to change the time too. So here's an example. Let's say they just want to change this real quick. And of course, we still have to go off of the approved time codes. So I know for this one, we could do 1525. Click save. And there's that warning that I mentioned. Okay, this is what it would look like. Now, again, with cross-listed stacked, you also have the same instructor and same location too, right? So same room. Banner, again, only gives you this warning alert if you're changing the time. Meaning, for a section that has that cross-list code that you saw, if you just change the instructor or just change the location or both and not change this meeting time at all, you're not going to get this warning. So it's really important to note. So in this case, this is fine. This is what we want. So we're going to click OK, and it's going to save. Well, we need to know what that other section is. So now that we made the changes here, let's go ahead and update this for that section. So if you go, clicking here, and if you double click, you should be taken to this query page. You want to go ahead and type in the term, and you want to write down that code if you're ever making changes. Okay, you want to write down that code. So we know that it was 3K, and you're going to type it in this cross list, and you'll click go. You're going to get that other section. But something that we have learned is that if you just double click this and click select, it doesn't take you to that course. Okay, so it's really just information only to know what other sections are attached to this code that you need to update. So we'll just go ahead and we'll pretend that we wrote it down, and we're going to go into the other section. So we'll click start over, and we'll type in that CRN and click go. And this one, again, isn't really changing anything but the time because they're cross-listed, right? Different time, you have to update it. So we'll update it here and click save. And you, as you can tell, you're going to get this warning again. That's okay because you already changed it before for the other listing. So you're good. This is literally just Banner's incessant FYI for changes to these sections. Now here's where the other maintenance comes in. Besides making sure that the instructors and the meeting times and the meeting locations match for these, again, they're essentially different courses taught all together, right? So that stuff needs to match. When it comes to this enrollment number, this is where it's key. Now that you've done what you can in SAWSECT, you're going to get out of there and you're going to go to the following screen. It's SSAXLST. The scheduled cross-list definition. This is something you do have access to now. So you're going to click that. And the nice part is because we were already working in that section, it already pre-populated the code that we need. So this is the nice part of doing it all together. And it already populates the term as well. So you click go. And it's going to show you what the query did. Okay? So it's showing you that under this identifier, this code, for this term, these sections that are actively being offered are stacked based off of what departments have told us. Well, you probably can see a little bit of a difference here. If you add these two numbers up, you're going to get 34, but not 39. Here's the thing. When it comes to this screen, you need to take the total of all the enrollment maximums, nothing else, just enrollment maximums, and make sure it matches this number. If it doesn't match, you're going to run into registration issues, especially if this increased. Let's say if this number, if Chem 431 changed to 20 for maximum enrollment in SAWSECT, and this was still 39, that would essentially tell Banner, wait a minute, this class is actually full. Even though there might be openings in Chem 431, Banner's going to look at this number and say, nope, sorry, we can't have any more students registered for this. Now, having this extra also might cause dilemmas as well. Even though we have this hold here, and there's that wait list too, right? But we don't want to play with that. As we know, we're all still getting the handle of registration with Banner. So this is going to be crucial. So in this case, because we updated the maximum to 10, this is now 34. instead of 39, so we need to update this accordingly. The total here, and these enrollment maximums altogether, needs to match the maximum enrollment. So what I like to do is I just type it in there. I like to just press tab. I click save. And you know it went through not only when you see the save successfully, but when you see the seats available. Well, in this case, there isn't anyone in there, right? So that's another marker that I go off of, okay? This might look different if you already have students registered. But as long as you see that green saved successfully, then you're good to go. And that's it. That's all you have to do for maintaining them. Very straightforward, very simple. Again, these have already been identified for you for fall 21 and for spring 22 and part of that creation process. So I will now open the floor to questions, if anyone has any.
I do have a question. So chemistry, based on that screen there, chemistry 431, the enrollment maximum to the right is 10. Does that mean that you can't put 11 people in there, or is it going to classify it as full?
Great question. So that 10 is still going to look at this 10,431, okay? So what would happen here is very likely that extra student that would want to register would be on this course's wait list. So this just looks at it all together in that sense for both sections, but it still differentiates between the credit the student would get for registering in this undergraduate course versus the graduate level, if that makes sense. So there's still that separation. So the key part in here really is if there's going to be a change in maximum enrollment for one of these sections where this number needs to be higher. Because if this isn't higher than what it really should be, then students aren't going to be able to register at all. To answer your question, really this 10 is still going to look and say, okay, we're going to focus on the 10. They're going to go on that wait list. And then there's that period of if there's room, then they can be granted, things of that nature. But I believe that's also another decision factor with that.
Yeah, so if we decided that in chemistry 531, we only have let's say 5 graduate students that are going to be taking that course, so we could decrease that one, the 24 down, so that you can increase the 10 so that you can get more into the undergrad course. You can do that, right?
I believe that's the department's call for that one, if you want to keep the maximum enrollment number the same in that way. But yeah, that'd be one way if you wanted to maintain this maximum enrollment.
Well, usually we have less graduate students than undergrad. So when I'm looking at those two, I'm thinking the numbers would be switched. So the 10 would be more like 531, but I understand what you're saying. The department chair needs to decide what they want there. But if you have 2 or 3 people on the wait list for chemistry 431 and you have 6 slots available in 531, and it's first day of class, you're not thinking anybody else is going to go in there, and you have all these people on a wait list, I would think changing those numbers to accommodate those people on the wait list is probably possible.
Again, I think that would be something that's on the department for something of that nature. I don't know the processes with all that, but I know that if you do change the numbers, then that change is going to have a ripple effect. Wonderful. Awesome. So in that case, that really does end our training on this. If you have any questions, by all means, please feel free to reach out. And thank you again for your hard work and patience in understanding all the ways of Banner, especially as we get closer to the fall. Exciting stuff.